we're gonna do sweeps from closed guard, and then this will round out the closed guard series for everything except, well, the whole series that we did with submissions is on that YouTube channel, so you can go there and check all the submissions.
It's just baseball practice.
And the explanations and stuff like that.
It's just baseball practice.
You need to hit loud. I'm like, so we're gonna go through a couple sweeps. We're gonna go through the hip bump sweeps over here. So a lot of the like a normal classic hip bump sweep would be me sitting up, covering his shoulder, holding his arm, and then going right. I saw this thing from Andrew Tackett where he takes a cross grip onto his hip, like onto the hip bump, and as he comes up, he's gonna go over like this. So he's gonna grab a cross grip and then come up and collapse his shoulder here. Then what he does, he's just gonna lift here, right? So it's just a different version because everybody's used to the same style of hip bumping, so they kind of know it's coming. Which the classic hip bump's not not terrible. You can get up here, and if he bases out with his hand, you can always come up with this Kimura, right? But we're gonna try to disguise the hip bump here, taking a cross grip like we would normally. You can double cross. Just know as you come up, you're gonna secure it here, lift your hips up, come over, right? So we'll go through that just a little bit. It's pretty easy, so I don't think we'll need to spend a ton of time on it. And then we'll go through 2 more sweeps from closed guard. So whatever hip bump you guys want to do, it's fine. I saw some people doing a this cross grip. Some people just did the normal. I'm going to get my shoulder up here. Understand that biggest concepts for the hip bump are going to be I need to get, whether I do this cross, if I do a cross like this and I'm down on his elbow, I got to be higher, right? So I got to be up here. That's why I want to try to lift up and pinch. Same thing with like your normal hip bump sweep when you don't have the arm. Once you guys get to the shoulder up here, I need to get up tall so I can get my head high and my hips high. See how as he lifts up, as I lift my feet, I'm driving off this outside foot, and then I just turn my hips over like this, right? So it really doesn't matter how you capture the arm. The cross grip is just a way to get the arm out of the way. Does that make sense? So if you find yourself attached to the elbow, use your hand to kind of shimmy yourself up to a better position. So when you lift your hips up, they actually lift up, and then you can collapse their arm and keep their post away. So just keep drawing it for a little bit more. 1, 2, 3. All right. So we're doing that off of, so you have this attack. We're always talking about like left and right attacks, so they're off balance, and you can try to get them to a position of advantage for yourself. So, like I said, you can try to go from this collapse here, but if I start with cross grips, it gives me opportunities for other things. Like, let's say I start with a cross grip and I just grab it like this. He might not think, like, I'm not really pressing on him hard. I'm not really like straining with him. I'm just trying to get attached to him. What I can do is, instead of just going to the hip bump, what I can do is take a 2-on-1 and pull him like this, right, as an arm drag. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this same cross grip, and I'm just going to either hold on his wrist or hold behind his elbow. And I like to pull with my knees to shoot him outside like this to attach to his back here, right? And so what we're going to do is, Logan might like this one. We're going to attach to his back, and I'm going to like kind of extend my body up onto my elbow, getting my head higher than his head, and climbing to Jordan's back. So turn towards your right. If you guys come over here, if you see my foot, how it's hooked on his thigh here, right? This is gonna go, we can take his back to this position, but what we're gonna do is it's called an elbow sweep. So as I'm up here like this, I'm gonna take the elbow to this side and I'm gonna pull it down as I'm like spinning it, right? As you can see, his hand here is in a compromised position. You can fade him out, you can start like locking up to go to these arm bars or whatever. But it's a good opportunity for you to be able to attack like a back attack or a back take from the close or a sweep from the close to a mount, right? So as you guys are doing this, the biggest key things here, and I'll say this, I think this was on Danaher's DVD. Yeah, Danaher, I've used this a lot and it works. It's phenomenal how many attacks you have from here. And all it is as I go, I pull my knees to get him off of his legs and I attach. I just, like in the gi, you can grab the lapel. I just like to attach to the lat, and I just want to make sure that his shoulder doesn't retract back square. So if I'm too flat, all he has to do is square up with me and he's out, right? So this is, as I pull my knees and attach, I shoot my hips out to block him from that, right? Once I have him secured here, I don't need to rush this, but once I have him secure, I'm just gonna take my hand, and usually people will try to get to their elbow like this, and it's super hard because they don't have any space to lift themselves up. So extend yourself up, hand out, go to the elbow to the head, and I'll just get up here. Like I said, you can still take this back as I'm hooking his leg, but when I see his elbow, I'm gonna do is capture his elbow, sweep, and just go to mount. Does that make sense? You guys wanna see it again? You wanna try it? Try it? All right, 1, 2, 3. So, off of the same premise, so I'm going to show you pendulum sweeps. Same sweep, but one's going to be from this setup where they're going. So if you notice, most of the stuff we do is going to be like, hey, I'm going to attack him this way. He's going to move away. I'm going to push him that way. And then when he starts defending this arm drag, we're going to sweep him. So that's how I like to attack, is building off one or the other. So with this one here, as I come and pull him, let's say I just did a really crappy job at getting like to the back of Jordan's scapula to prevent him from squaring up. So if Jordan starts to square up on me, I'm going to use that momentum to pendulum sweep, right? And I landed on my own foot, but I don't have a problem with you guys doing it as long as you know how to get out. Like, because sometimes when we sweep, I get stuck. It just happens, probably a shitty technique on my part. But when I go to pendulum sweep and I get stuck on my own foot, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift Jordan up and clear my own leg just to get to this mount, right? So a couple things with pendulum sweep when I watch people do the pendulum sweep. One, Jordan will be back on his heels and people will try to People will try to pendulum sweep with Jordan sitting back with his weight. See how his weight's back here? I need to get Jordan's weight up on top of me to be able to get this sweep going that way. I can do it a couple ways. What I like to do is get my leg and go. See how he's up? Now this cut is very easy, as opposed to let's say I get Jordan's arm down, and I do like to get this cross. Grab here and hold his head when I start the pendulum sweep. I don't want his arms out here trying to pendulum sweep because he's got a base, right? Any sweep, I got to take away his post, get underneath of his hips. So here, when I hold him and I sweep, if Jordan sits back, I have to somehow, now I can try to pull him like this if he's smaller, and I'm just going to go under, so if you roll it up, spin around all the way, facing that way. So, see how I'm tucking under his leg? This is going to allow me, and I'm pulling with my knees. I just want to see this lift. So as he's back here and I see this lift, I know I can go, right? I know I can go for this sweep very effortlessly. If Jordan's back and I'm like, I can't get him, I know I need to see almost his chest come over mine. See how he's like this? So I can do it by a pull with my arms. I actually like doing it with my leg. So as I'm here, I can lift, See how I swing my leg? Like that, right? It's a weird sweep to get, but I wanted to show you guys the mechanics of it from not the counter. Because his momentum is going to help you when we're doing the arm drag here, and he starts coming towards me. He's going to help me. So when I see this little peak out, like if he gets his shoulder probably right here, I know I'm going for it. As soon as I see his shoulder start getting square with me, you know, all I'm going to do is duck and go. Still gather. Right? Yeah. If you notice that if this guy is not, I think a lot of the times like when you get this failed, I'm really trying to arm drag this guy at all these other setups that we're doing, right? Like I really want the arm drag. Once this guy is being stubborn and not letting me pull, he's like his base is all the way back, like it's going to give you the opening to pull and then create the angle. So if they're not giving you the arm drag, they're giving you the pendulum sweep. So it's not one or the other. Like I really want the pendulum sweep. At the end of the day, if they're bearing down on their base, just take it back. Yeah, not good. Does that make sense? So it's like fight smarter, not harder. If you want the pendulum sweep, then you better fucking sell the arm drag. You better sell it, right? Or just try it. That's what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm saying. Like we all get so hyper focused on doing one move, when this move over here seems really easy. I'm just saying that if you're like, for some reason on a Tuesday, I feel like I want to do a pendulum sweep, that arm drag, that has to look real. Or if you see it, then you're going to realize, why am I working so hard for this pendulum? It's right here. So seeing those openings, that's why people are good at jiu-jitsu. They know when to fight for something and when to say, go for something else. Right? Yeah. So let's,
I was just going to say, I think there's a lot of small details that they'll all go into. When I first learned this back and forth, the easiest thing for me was just, is your head higher than their head, then take their back. If you get your head higher than theirs at any time, take their back. If you can't, sweep them.
Yep. And
it's just, I'm going to continuously try and get my head higher than yours, and if you make it a point to take your head higher than mine, and by higher I mean higher off the ground, then I'm going to try and sweep you. So, if we're here, boom, and his main way to stop this is going to be to bring, if he bears down, it's going to be easy for me to get my head higher than his head. Either I climb up on my shoulder, or I climb up on my elbow. My head's higher than his, I'm going to take his back. So what most people are going to do is he's going to bring his head over top of my head. And this is telling me that this is the time for me to start trying to sweep him. And I just let those decisions kind of control themselves.
Yeah, and that's for any back take, almost. Like, if you're like, you can see the back of where their logo would be, you just need to know, okay, I need to either shoot them. I can get my head higher by scooting my hips back and dropping them in the hole, or standing up on my hand. But you can do them both ways, but head height really matters when taking it back. All right, 1, 2, 3. You can see it in you guys can see it in sequence for this. So again, getting his hands, same thing with closed guard, right? We're always trying to keep his posture down. If his hands are on the mat, great. I either want his hands on the mat or I want them across my center line. That's like foundational things. So here, Jordan's hands are on me. I'm going to try to get this cross grip and then come over his elbow, get high, boom. Do a hip bump sweep. If for some reason Jordan's I feel him locked down and bear down, take either a 2-on-1 or one behind the elbow, or one on the wrist, one behind the elbow, pull him across, get to his back, get up high here, get onto his hand, latch, right, for the elbow sweep. And then lastly, if you get to this position and I feel like I can't, if Jordan's head starts climbing, I'm gonna whip my leg around and get to the pendulum. If you guys notice, most of our landing positions are the same. I got crossed up arms here, and I can start, once you start like being able to anticipate what their body position is gonna be, you can start hitting his submissions from here. So as I roll, I might start trying to gather to get to this, to like arm bar positions or whatever, right? So pay attention to where you guys are landing, and if you keep repeating it, think what attack can I hit right off this. So when they're worried about being swept, you actually have an attack already in your back pocket.